Okay. So okay, hey guys. Um, so so I'm back with another interview. This is actually pre-recorded by the time that you're watching this because unfortunately we did try to do it live, but it didn't work. But that's okay. Because we're still going ahead with it. Let me see really quickly right now. Okay, that's better. So I have with me my special guest for tonight is another it's actually someone that has been on the channel before. And you might recognize her from an interview we did about a month ago or so. It was in August, I think, or September, I don't remember. But yeah, it's Desmona, and she is kind enough to be making time in a very busy schedule to sit down with us for a little bit.
Anything for you.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I appreciate it. I appreciate it. So I do have a few questions.
Mhm.
But yeah. So I guess we just get right into it.
Of course.
So the first one, first question that I have is, what do you think Asian guys should do when it comes to improving their odds with women who are not Asian? Like when they're trying to when they want to date outside their race. What do you think like they you know, like what basically boosts their chances, right?
I think anything that you well, first of all, thank you for having me back. Like back by popular demand. Then someone whispers in my ear, no one asked for you. No, but thank you for having me back. My first response would be no matter whether it's another culture or your culture, you should always just be comfortable in yourself. Like I tell people all the time, you see for instance, Jay-Z and Puff Daddy, they're not attractive at all. And before they even become millionaires and billionaires in life, they had women. It was how they carried themselves. It's like the I don't want to say persona because I don't want you to pretend to be nothing. But when you have a certain vibe or that goes about yourself that you're comfortable with who you are, and I don't care if you don't like me because I'm having fun. That person that you see laughing at their own joke and you're like, it really wasn't funny. And then you end up laughing because you're like, Jesus, okay. It's like you have to have that security in who you are, and be unapologetic. Like, hey, I'm me, you like me, you don't like me, that's up to you, but I am who I am. And it attracts women of my culture. We it's a vibe. I can have my back turned, and then when a strong presence comes into the room, everyone kind of notices, like, oh, okay, the mood shifted. So I would say the best thing about it is to be who you are. Also know the culture a little bit, at least something, something to add to the table, because the best thing about dating someone that's not of your culture, you sit at the table, if you're eating or whatever, and you're like, hey, I read this or I read that, and be willing to exchange dialogue as far as, educating each other about, each other, especially when it comes to Asian men and, the whether it's ADOS culture, African culture, Caribbean culture, either one. We're not taught that in school. We're not taught in depth. Like, as far as as far as most people find out about people of colors, we were slaves. We came from Africa, we were slaves, we were free. That's pretty much the end of that they tell you of our journey. And it's not that case. Just the same thing as, when you learn, anything about Asian culture. Actually, I don't even think you learned anything about Korea in school. I can't remember. But I remember I only thing I learned was the Great Wall of China. That's what you learn. You're like, so they all they did was build a wall. Oh, okay, that's cool. But you learn about Europe, you learn about all of that up the wazoo. So I think what is best is to learn just a little bit of the culture, you know, um, be also aware of other cultures, sense of humor maybe. So when you approach, don't be so serious, because a lot of culture, especially with people of color, we're silly. We're very playful. We could watch an old lady fall down and we'll all be like trying to hold it our laughter, like, is she okay? It's just some things we find funny that we shouldn't laugh at, but we do. And I think it just comes with our growth. at laughing at our own pain, because you can't just walk around and be so upset and so torn down by things in life, because we've been through a lot that we laugh at a lot of things. So not to be so serious either, I think it's another thing for them. And just to be honest, what the most you're gonna say? No, no, I ain't never killed nobody that I know of. So go, and you see someone, don't, please stop doing the creeper thing that they do. And I don't know if you know what it is, but it's like men of Asian culture, they'll watch you. They won't speak. They'll watch you from the room, and then you look at them and they'll look away. And you're like, should I give you my purse? Like, am I got to fight? Let me take my mace out. And you look again, and then they'll turn away, and you're like, well, what the hell? And then you'll find them just watching you, but it's just a weird thing. Or you have some of the ones that just blankly stare, and you're like, is something behind me? Like, why are we looking this way? Like, should I be running? Instead of doing that, why don't you just walk up and speak? And it's nothing in a compliment. It's nothing in just saying, hey, I think you're beautiful. And I just wanted to say hi, I am so and so, and every interaction starts with just someone saying something. If you keep standing by watching, you're going to just forever be a spectator, and you're never going to be in the actual game, of things. I think that's probably like the most, like I- I'm actually, I think I'm kind of weird. So if I notice a man staring and staring for quite a long time, and if I look, they look away. If I look, they just kind of stare. Like sometimes if I look and they just stare, I'll make a face, and I'll start laughing. And it kind of makes them a little comfortable. Or if they stare and then they turn away, I'll actually invade their space. Like I'll go up and I'll be like, hey, how are you? And I don't know, maybe that's the Taurus in me, just wanted to be, or maybe it's the Aries side. I don't know, but just me being upfront, like, okay, I see you staring at me. You're not saying anything, but you keep talking. So why don't we just figure out, because whether I think that you're attractive or I think that you're just regular, but you could be like, I'm different too, and I can't speak for all women, but exterior is great because that's the first thing that you see about anybody, of course. But for me, I look for what's inside of you, like what you have. So I can't know that if you don't speak to me. I don't know, you could be, you could love to draw and color when you're frustrated. I love to draw and color. Maybe we go and we'll do a color me class together, or, I like to eat certain things and you like these. Well, let's go eat together. I would know unless you say something to me. And then, sometimes even when I have approached them, it's like they turn red, it's kind of like they go into this mute thing. Or I think that someone told them it was kind of cool to be standoff, and they're like, oh, hey. And you're like, oh, okay. Well, I thought you were staring for a purpose, but okay. And then it's a miscommunication because they think that that makes them look cool. And it's not really the case either. It's like, I don't know where the textbook is coming from. Maybe it's like the 90s, maybe like 90210 they're watching. I don't know what they're watching. Friends? I don't know. But it's not if you want to know how to, talk to a woman of color, it's always if you're funny, if you're confident, you smell good. I know a lot of Asian guys, I don't know what it is, but cologne is not your thing. But cologne is a thing for, like, we want to smell, like when you come in, we want to be like, who is that? Like that's a thing. And always no matter, like, yes, everyone wants to strive for, Gucci, Prada, whatever, but it's about dressing appropriate for your body and feeling confident in what you have on. Just seeing someone that's clean, smells good, haircut fresh, and like their outfit just tailoring their body perfectly. Not like you're trying to be, K-pop and you got this, this blouse on looking reminding me of Prince, or you're trying to be hip hop and you got oversized. No, dress to your style, to your body, and what compliments you. And that also shines through to who you are as well. And if you're silly, be silly, because it's a girl over there or here that's silly as I don't know what. And you're going to be just, you never know whose cup of tea that you are until you actually allow someone to take a sip of you. So I think about like those are main things that I think that they need to, just a little bit of things that would attract us to get us to look more and be more interested because it is a stigma. Unfortunately, it's a little rumor, stigmatism. I don't know what you want to call it. That Asian men are not attractive or only Korean men are attractive. And I don't know about anybody else, but I just don't, I can't fall for the flowery Korean men. Like, I don't want to share my makeup with you. And I don't want you, you know what I mean? I don't want to be both with curling our hair in the mirror, I mean, they look cute, but as for me as a male, I want to be with a man where I feel like, oh, we're about to get robbed. We both can fight. Not that we're about to get robbed. I got to save us both. Like I want to have that security, that manly feel, but be groomed, pleasant smelling, have like a sense of confidence, a sense of strength about themselves. Um, I think that those are like the main things, and I think that they, like I said, the stigmatism is going around. I guess that Korean men are the only cute ones, or they're the only ones that grow tall. I was like, you do know people grow. Like it's not that not everyone's not short. They have that I don't know what to describe it, but like a persona that Bruce Lee was the only thing you guys had. like I think that really people are just not really getting into like Asian culture as a whole and actually learning. Because like I can remember like all you heard was like Bruce Lee and Kung Fu was like that's all they knew about you. And I think now that they have a new avenue which comes with like the K-pop and the Korean, so I think they're kind of going like wild with it. But they have a stigmatism that Asian men are short. Because I get asked a lot of times when when they're like, oh, who are you talking to, or are you dating? And I'm like, oh, this is Asian guy. Is he at least taller than you? I'm like, yeah, all of them are short. Where'd you get that they were short? And then of course the women are asked about sexual things, and I was like, just like you know every person in any culture has their certain stigmatism that come with it. They all don't fall under there. Every black person can't dance. Every white person doesn't just have salt and pepper in their kitchen. Some of them have seasonings. You know what I mean? So it's like every little thing that you normally get. A stigmatism, that's what I think really sticks with you guys, as far as also that you guys are kind of timid and very quiet, and you're more recluse and only deal with your own. And also people, like I've got people tell me like, oh, I thought that Asian people didn't like black people. And I said, well, who told you that? Did the Asian tell you that? Or you just got that because maybe the guy at the beauty supply don't like you guys, but then he may not like you because somebody was stealing. I said, you don't know what his purpose is. I was like, but no, I got told just the other day, they were like, I thought Korean people didn't like white people. And I was like, who's that thought? I was like, I don't know where you get this from. I was like, but I said, every culture, of course, some people don't like other cultures or stick to their own, et cetera, and that's fine too. But that doesn't speak for the whole, so what one person does or say does not portray to everybody as a culture. So I think that just really to sum it up, be just confident in who you are, be be approachable and approach people. And I think that's it, because actually women of color, our men are more masculine and dominant. We attract to that. We attract to the stronger of the men. Like we might be looking at two same men, and one could be just a total nerd, and one could be just as strong as Hercules. We will look at Hercules more until the nerd opens his mouth and says something, and then we're like, oh, because I don't know about many women, but I'm more of I like someone who's smart. I like someone who's silly and can laugh and joke. I can't stand someone who has brittle feelings, tissue paper feelings, which unfortunately I found that a lot in the Asian culture. Literally, if I say something, like I called this one guy, just an example. Like we were talking and the conversation was getting like boring. And I said, we're boring. Now, mind you, we means me and him, not just you. I said, we're boring. Instantly, so I'm boring. I didn't know my job was to entertain you. And I was like, oh, I was like, I didn't mean it in an offensive way. I mean it like we need to pick up the conversation. We need to do something together. I said, and if you understood, I said we, meaning that me too. I need to help in this. But it wasn't a personal. He's like, well, there's no other way you could say boring and not be offensive. And I was like, I'm saying it with a smile. I don't think that that should be offensive. Like I'm literally joking. Like, oh, we're boring. We need to, go do something. Literally jumped down my throat. I was like, oh, okay. You're like a little crazy. And it's like I've noticed another one. I called him silly, and he took that as offensive. I was like, you're so silly, and it was immediately offensive. And I was like, okay, I'm confused. Like, am I not saying this right? Are we having the language back? And mind you, they speak English better than I do. So I'm like, did I not say the words right? What's happening? And I literally just have had those incidents where they're just so sensitive and take it so literal. And like I said, when people of culture, like we joke. I might see someone, I'm like, oh, you're so stupid. But it doesn't mean I think that you're stupid. So I think too, like, don't take things so literal. And if you just don't know before you jump to a fence, just ask them, say, hey, what do you mean by that? Because I'm not really sure how to take that. So could you help me to understand what you're saying? And then by all means, hopefully that person not that stupid that they wouldn't explain to you. But that also helps friction. But most of the time they kind of jump to the defense and you're like, okay, I didn't mean it that way, but sure. So that's what I think are just a few things that they should change. And I think it would be great. Like, it's sad because you have to like go through layers to find out how amazing they are. And sometimes by the time you get the first two, you're like, this is too much work. Like, I want to be with someone that's fun and laughing. And now it's like, I got to go through almost mental counseling with you for you to talk to me. And I understand everyone has things, but I think too that they have to understand that everyone has things just like they do. And if I'm able to um, put those aside to give you the best parts of me because I think that you deserve it, you should be able to put it aside or we can work together. But, you know, don't close me out or don't, you know, be like you're the only one going through things either. So I think those are like just a few little things that, I think would make them stand out faster among others, you know, um, and be able to be more approachable and vice versa.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Thank you for all that. I hope like a lot of the guys watching will seriously consider your advice. Um, so my next question, well, I guess you already sort of touched upon we already sort of touched upon this, but I'll just rephrase it. So a very common stereotype about Asian men. I mean, it's not like super negative, but it is still, I guess,
Mhm,
kind of negative or whatever. But it's that Asian men are very shy. And I've heard this. Obviously, you just
mhm. Yeah,
you got done
yeah,
talking about that sort of
yeah,
thing. But I've also heard it from other women, like a lot of other
yeah.
women,
Mhm.
which is kind of disturbing. But like the majority of them will say that Asian guys are actually really shy. Like I remember I used to ask my coworkers too in the past, like,
Mhm,
oh, so have you ever like, how's your dating life, or like, they'll just bring it up.
mhm.
I was like, oh, have you ever dated an Asian guy before? And they'll usually say, yeah, like one or two, but like they were really shy. He was really shy. He didn't say anything. He was just
Yeah.
sitting there, and then like you ask him, oh, are you dating an Asian guy right now? Like, of course I'm not, because
Yeah.
Asian guys are too shy. And so,
Yeah.
like, I also believe that, like, while a lot of Asian men might have difficult time, like especially with online dating or approaching women or whatever,
Mhm.
it sounds like a big problem of that is the fact that they are themselves shy, because you're saying
Mhm.
that, like a lot of other women say that. So why do you think that is? Like, why do you think so many Asian guys are shy? And it's okay.
I
Like, I
don't.
just want to. I'm
I'm
sorry.
not really sure.
Mhm.
I sometimes think that sometimes they think it's a thing to do, like they pretend to be that. Because some girls are like if they can make you blush, they make you shy. They're some women are predators, which is what I like to call them, predators. Where like where they're in a room and they feel like they can make the man uncomfortable. They're like, oh, this is fun. And they'll do anything, to keep making him blush and making him shy away. And it's like kind of a turn on, and it's like a cat and mouse game for them, you know. But I honestly think some Asian men just do that because they think it's a cutesy thing to do. And you're like, not all women like that though, And because I've been around some guys who were doing the shy role, and then as we got like more comfortable and we're all laughing and we're all joking, I'm like, oh, you got out of character. Because what you're doing now is not the same shy person that you were 30, 40 minutes ago. So it was like, I think he thought that it would make him cute, like cutesy, if he did that, and it was like, nah, that like I don't think that was like genuine, and like, later on, like as you start seeing him evolve, you're like, you're not shy, and none of that shit that you're doing, it was real. Like, no, and you could tell a genuine shy person because they don't jump out their shell, immediately. It takes time. If you jump out your shell immediately, you're like, that was no, 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 no. But I've seen some that do that, just like some play the bad guy role, and you're like, have you ever been in a fight before? No. Oh, okay, but you do all this tough guy talk, and you've never done like what's happening here? It's like I think that they pick one or the other. They pick like, oh, the tough guy, like I'm just so cool and I'm just so, the popular person or whatever. And though they pick the shy role. And a lot of them pick the shy role, and then it's almost a shy role with a self-bashing, which is absolutely, I don't know if any of them do it, but I've experienced it of course, when I was in China and when I was in Singapore and stuff like that. I've experienced it with them, and it's like some of the most unattractive thing. I don't know what it does for them or what they think that the reaction would be, but it's the most unattractive thing that they do. And like, for an example, there was a guy that I was talking to, and we used to have fun, we used to laugh and joke, and I loved it, like I said, because he didn't have a brittle spirit. He could laugh, he could joke, we could throw punches with each other, and no one's, crying in the morning, And we were talking, and so he was like, I really like you. And I was like, oh, I like you too, and I enjoy you. He was like, but I don't think that I would be enough for you. And I was like, and I'm thinking like, I was like, well, I'm not looking for anyone with money. I was like, I could take care of myself. I was like, is that what you mean? He was like, no. And I was like, what do you mean? Because now I'm confused. He meant like sexually. And he was like, I'm probably too small for you. And I'm thinking to myself, who the hell owns up to this? Like, if I was a male and I was too small or thought I was, you know what? You're not gonna find out till I pull it out, and we're too late now. We're both naked. It's too late. like, like I'm not telling you up front this at all. And it's like they'll do that though. And I've encountered on several occasions where they'll be like, I really like you, but I probably could never satisfy you. And I'm like, I'm like, what do you mean? And I don't know. I think it goes with the persona too, that because I'm a woman of color, that they think that all Black men have huge penises. So I think that they're comparing it to like, you probably have dated men that have huge penises, and I'll never be able to satisfy you because you're used to that, which is definitely not the situation. And I think that that's also another, like negative that they do. And it's just kind of like you're stuck like, who actually does this? Like, are you serious? And I think that that is something, that they definitely have to like deal with. That is something that is I think a thing too is, they go into that so-called shy role, and then they say those things, and you're like, no, you're not shy now, and now you just kind of turn me off. Like, at least have confidence. I don't care if it's this small or this big. It's all about how you utilize it, the confidence in yourself. And most women, we're emotional, so we emotionally attached to someone first. which heightens anything that you do after the fact. So it's not always about the physical. Yes, some, again, we talked about some it is. As for me, no, So, just for them to think that that makes them less than. And I don't know if that's a ploy or that's like, let me pre-warn you. I don't really know, you know, but that's something too that they do a lot. And that usually comes with the person that's shy or the person that's so-called, like, oh, I'm so popular, I'm this and I'm that. Their conversation, of course, is quite different. And they're a little explicit and more self-confident in themselves. And they kind of almost lead with just that. And you're like, is that all that you have to offer? Like, let me tell you the secret. No one can do anything better to a woman than she can do to herself. She already knows the ins and outs. But it's like they just go for that. So it's like, I don't really understand why. I think sometimes the shy thing is just two things. Either they didn't interact much with other women, like they didn't, because a lot of the Asian culture, you don't casually date, which what helps our culture and other cultures, we casually date. So, you guys may not have your first girlfriend until 16, 18, sometimes older. Um, we casually date probably like middle school. You're 12, 13, you're going to your first football game together, your first basketball game together, your first movie together. And then you start getting to know the awkwardness. You still got, you learn that, you manage that. But I think that some of them, they're late in managing because they don't do casual. So they're late in managing how to actually be in a relationship or casually get to know someone and take it slow. And they end up kind of teetering between like a relationship and then feeling like not wanted and awkward. So they really don't know. And I think that that's like what causes or creates the shyness in the beginning because they don't have their relationship stunted is the word. Like they don't have that experience of just going out and meeting people and going on a horrible date and cursing somebody on slamming the door and like I'm never gonna talk to you again. They don't experience that. That's something that we experience 16, 18, going on dates. And I think that that's probably why they have that shy sense because they're stunted. They're at their relationship experience is the level of middle school. When you first start dating someone in middle school and you're like 12 and 13, you go to the basketball game and you're like holding hands, feeling a little awkward and stuff. They feel like that, but now they're adults. I think that is a uh, a thing as to why maybe they're shy. It's just their relationships don't, and they don't really know what to do. Because a lot of them will ask questions like, "Was this okay, or is that okay?" And that also sometimes ruin the mood. Like, yes, I know you want to make sure that everyone's comfortable and stuff like that, but sometimes as a male, just do things, and she'll follow. But you have to be, of course, assertive in order to be a leader, have someone to follow you. And instead they kind of just like to fall into the mix and just kind of watch things play out and then maybe catch some of the fallouts or whatever. So I think that is probably why they're more shy is they miss the casual side in the relationships, don't it? As far as the experience.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I don't know, like like typically, because when I think of like my own dating life, like I think of one of my first date when I was in college, and I didn't really end up in quote unquote serious relationship with anybody until after college. But I
Hmm.
think, but I like to, but it's not really about me. I'm just sort of comparing myself because I'm Asian slash Asian American because I was, excuse me. Yeah, because I'm, obviously I'm born and raised from here, so I'm American. But I was just thinking, like in Asia, like in Hong Kong, China, Korea, wherever, like I don't know the actual, I don't know like if what you're saying applies. I think so actually because it's kind of similar to what you were saying with dating and like stunted and all
Hmm.
that stuff. Because I know the same applies to sex, like because they don't talk about sex over there. Like they
No,
don't.
over
Yeah.
there, I think there are a lot of their parents. Well, they stopped doing it. Well, so most of the parents kind of hook them up with people, like, hey, you should date so and so. They're kind of interactive in that. And like they're trying to get away from it, not wanting to be just, traditional. But I think that that's another thing as far as with their culture as why, they don't openly do things like for a long time in their culture, like it was kind of, taboo for you to walk holding hands in public and show public display of affection. They still will watch you. Like if I go out there and I grab someone's hand and I kiss them in public, they're kind of like, oh, oh, okay, versus in America, like we could damn near you could damn near have sex and people just look like, oh, look at them, okay, and keep, we're fine. But the other side, you like I said, holding hands, showing a lot of affection, like kissing and stuff like that for a long time. That was not, you didn't do that in public. Now, of course, you can see like the younger people holding hands and stuff like that and everything. Excuse the TV. People don't respect me. I'm telling you. So, anyways, a lot of times, like now you can see them holding hands and stuff, but you still don't see them like kissing or doing a lot of hugging or excessively like you see in America. Still kind of like, don't do too much. It's okay for you to hold hands now, but before that was something that was frowned upon, was like public display of affection. So that's another thing too I think that makes them a little bit awkward is that culturally, um, when you date someone of color, we're more free as far as the conversation. Like I mean, growing up, like as I started to get older, like my mom just came like, hey, you start to get older, guys are gonna come to you. They're gonna wanna, have sex with you. And like you had like this whole graphic conversation, like, okay, but you were also prepared, but also in our culture, you can see people with babies at 15, 16, So again, we have just a different outlook. I think that that's why our relationship starts, with us. And I mean, like like I know little kids in kindergarten holding hands, and this is like girlfriend, boyfriend. They're starting in elementary with little girlfriend and boyfriends that they're bringing little cards to and writing little notes to, up until we get to actual dates at 13, 12, 7th and 8th grade. You're going to basketball games together, football games together, dances together. We have dances at 7th and 8th grade. So again, those are things that we bring together that ends up allowing them to mix and mingle with the opposite sex and kind of learn that. So I think that that's kind of what they're missing as to why, sometimes in a relationship they either go from 0 to 1,000, like you talk for, a couple of days, we're together. You're like, huh? Are we? And then they have also a different conception as if you have sex, it automatically means you're together. And I've had like some friends tell me, she was like, I just wanted to, have sex. Like he's talking about we're together and I'm his girlfriend. I don't know where that comes from. And I'm just like, oh no. I said, well, in their culture, they don't casually do anything. I said, so he figures if you guys did this, you guys are together. And so she's like, oh, I'm like, yeah. So congratulations, you're in a relationship. But I think that those are like the things I think that makes a difference.
Yeah, well, like everything you're saying, especially about, like having, like middle school dances and stuff, that's something that I did like when I was in middle school.
Mhm.
Um and yeah, and as far as, like I guess going fast in a relationship or anything like that, um I've I'm definitely familiar with that. Like I feel like I don't know if it's for me. I'm not sure if it's for so much like a cultural thing as it is an age thing. Because when I was in my 20s, I like rushed the hell out of like all my quote unquote relationships or dating or
Mhm.
whatever. But now that I'm older, I'm like I take my time because I know sort of like the consequences of going too fast.
Yeah.
And that's sort of what happened with me. Was going out with this girl. It wasn't not serious at all, but it was like we hooked up. We had sex, like second date, and then I got a text later saying, "Oh, it's not gonna work out because like it seems like you're rushing." And I was like, "But we just had a good." It didn't make sense.
Yeah.
It just, and she was a lot younger than me, and that's why I was like, okay. Instead of getting mad about it and overthinking it, I was just like, she's young. She's young and dumb. She doesn't
Mhm.
know what she wants, and she probably was just trying to, get laid or whatever. So I don't know, but it's just
Yeah.
not worth my time. But yeah, thank you. Let's see. So next question is, okay. So this is kind of like approaching it from the other perspective or whatever.
Mhm.
Do you think women nowadays, not necessarily including yourself, although you can include yourself also, count yourself in this question too, but do you think women are too picky nowadays?
Um, you know what? It's hard to say. I don't think they're picky. I think they're just now finding out some, some their worth, and some have overvalued themselves. Totally overvalued themselves. And I think that it's just kind of, I think that with social media, everyone wants to be this Instagram couple, and everyone feels like they're competing with someone else, and they'll look at someone, like, well, I think that I can get this or I can get that, but it's a it's a guy, and I'll probably be like, any female that knows it will probably totally bash me. It's a guy named Kevin Samuels, right? He's an older gentleman, and he kind of just kind of tells you like the truth, about yourself that people don't want to accept. And it's like women are like, oh, I need a six-figure man, but then you're making three figures. You're like, you can't, you can't. Yes, in life, men have always been up here and women have been down here as far as like a couple status majority of the time. The men will have more, the women will have less or whatever, but it's also with a balance. Like, you know, you you kind of you get what you attract and you get what circle that you run into, you run within. So like you get women that'll see all these girls on these like Instagram trips and stuff, like I'm cuter than her or whatever. I could get this, I could get that, but you don't know exactly, you know, she may be a savvy business person, you know, she may be really smart, like whatever, you don't know what else is contributing, all you know is these photos. And people are like, oh, relationship goals this, relationship goals that, but they never know what goes into it. So I think that with that, women are now getting like this fake sense of entitlement, but they've done no work. So like women like, oh, I want a man to take care of me. Okay, but what are you doing to attract them? Okay, pretty, that's fine. Pretty, cool. And anyone can at this day and age, anybody can buy it. So shit, you get the right surgeon, you come out looking like whatever you want. Um, oh, your sex is great. Okay. You and probably another thousand other women, if he runs into them, same thing. What else do you have? Are you spiritually, emotionally, mentally taking care of this man? Are you able to be his support system? Like if he falls, is he gonna just fall and hit the ground? Are you gonna be able to catch him? Are you gonna be able to say, okay, we're a team, we can go at it this way about way? What do you offer other than being pretty and you can, for lack of words, maybe suck dick? Well, I don't know. But what else do you have? And a lot of them are just focused on like, oh, I deserve this. Well, what did you do to deserve it? Why? Just because you like what? Like a lot of them have that, and I've watched it in a lot of different platforms that people are like, well, I deserve this and I deserve that. And the guy that I'm referring to, he breaks down like their stock and really what they're worth, and they're always like are really upset because he's like, well, how old are you? How many kids do you have? How much do you weigh? What you look like? Okay, well, a man of this caliber that you're looking for, you wouldn't fit the bill. Like, and he literally just like, but he's like statistically like telling them. And then they want to be combative and they want to be mad and they want to argue. And you're like, you called him, asked him for his opinion, and he gave you an expert opinion on whatever it is. And that's why you're still alone. So I just always look at, I don't say that expectations are high because some that have high expectations. And if this was a job, they would not qualify at all. And some of them have low expectations. You're like, you're trying to build a man with missing parts, and that's not going to happen either. So I think that women have gone into, especially when it comes like I guess to the Asian culture, they've gone into a delusional characteristic realm. Like they want the men on the K-pop dramas and the C dramas and the artists and you're like, well, were you ever pulling them in your own culture? Were you ever pulling them in America? Then what makes you think that you're gonna pull them there? If you're not pulling your what? Who's if you're not pulling Drake now, what make you think you're gonna pull the Asian version of Drake? Oh, just because you heard he liked black girls, but that doesn't mean he like any old black girl. I'm sure y'all standards and what they like. So people are, I think women at this time are delusional because I swear to God, if I hear one more word about Asian men fetishizing about black women, I'm gonna scream. A lot of the women that scream to you about Asian men fetishize about black women have never obviously owned a mirror and have no friends. Because majority of them, I'm like, you're not even worthy of being fetishized about. First of all, like, have we ever looked at each other? No, no, because you're not worth fetishizing of any culture. And then add to that this "I'm better than thou" attitude, and you drop down some more notches. You know, it's just some people live in the delusion, and I think too with them when it comes to Asian culture that they think that you know you guys are happy with this anything as long as she's black or anything as long as she's decent looking. You're just happy with anything, and they just kind of run with it. Because I've seen some that will make comments like, "I don't know if he's fetishizing about me." And I'm like, maybe a nightmare, but I don't think it's a fetish. I don't see anything that would attract anyone. Like what? Because you dressed in anime and you had bunny ears and a pink wig. Is that what are we talking about? Like I'd be so confused, and maybe because I'm older, I'm like, I'm from back in the day where you could dress up and look beautiful, or you can wash your face and still be beautiful. So a lot of them they're talking, and then you're like, girl, I hope you never take the makeup off, because if you see that photo that I seen without the face, you won't be fetishized about nothing. If you take some of these filters and these angles off, ma'am, I think they believe their own delusion sometimes. They take the photos and they filter it and they turn the angles, and they really think they're that person. I'm like, you do know that person. I see you in person one day, and they're gonna see the real you. But I think it's like people live on likes and social media approval. If they get several likes on something, they start thinking that they're better than others and that they deserve so much more than what they actually are even working towards or putting effort to. Like you can't, it's like going to work and I'm like, I want to work a half day, but I want to get a full day's pay. It doesn't work that way, and I think that's, I wouldn't say standards are high because some standards are super low, some their standards are high and unrealistic for who they are, you know? And that probably sounds terrible, but like you have to be realistic. And it's like, as an example, it's this one guy, and he was like, I really not really sure if it was supposed to be a brag or not. He's like, oh, I paid for relationship counts. No, not really, relationship therapist to show him how to pick up women because he only dates tens. And I looked at him and I'm like, sir, but you're a three. You're a total three. Like, you have no 10 attributes at all. And I'm laughing because I'm listening to him tell this to one of my friends. And I was like, I said, what kind of conversation are you having? And these people are saying, and they were in like a Zoom conversation. And I'm in the background listening. I'm like, what does he look like? And literally, when I tell you he's a tree, that's me being nice. Mind you, he's a tree. He got two roommates. I'm like, so you don't even have any money. And you wasted $3,000 for someone to teach you how to pick, how to say and talk to people and only pull tens, but yet and still you're by yourself. Oh, how's that work for you? And literally, he's like, I only date tens. And I was like, but you're a three, you're a teacher, you have two roommates to be able to afford your place. What part of a 10 are you that deserves another 10? I was like, a 10 won't look at you twice. I was like, so I don't know what you waste. I said, tell somebody, tell him he wastes his money. And so she's laughing in the background. I'm like, tell that man he wasted his money. But just like that delusion alone, there's women that think like that, I deserve a 10. And you're like, but you're not one. You can't get what you're not, you know? So I think that they're not high. I think they're just not realistic to the standards that they are, and then also who you're talking to and who you're trying to attract. Like I know if I talk to other Asian men, you know, the circle I run in, they will be a little bit more above than the average person, but it doesn't mean that they're better than the average person. So that doesn't mean I'm going to give or look at them better than the other. Because I mean, you could be an average person, you just haven't got your opportunity to shine, or your time is going to come later. It's like they say that pressure on a piece of coal produces a diamond. Sometimes that person is just a diamond waiting. So I personally, I get to know anybody. Like I said, I take care of myself. I don't need any help. Most people I do, date or I'm with, of course, are successful, but that's also the business I'm in. I run into them. That's just how we are, But if I run into someone that was just working a regular job, that doesn't mean that they're not a great person, and that means more to me is what type of person you are. So I think if their standard should be anything, it should be about the quality of that person, your spiritual stock, what you're worth internally, the potential that that person has versus what you may have seen on the latest kung fu movie or Squid Games. Now all of a sudden that one ugly guy is so cute. I was like, he's ugly. No, all of a sudden he's cute because he's on Squid Games. Okay, got it. So that's like my opinion.
Okay. Yeah, I definitely agree with like women having double standards nowadays. Yeah, I think like I said before, I think it goes back to the age thing. So I feel
Mhm.
like the younger woman is like the less committed she is. She just wants to basically date and have a good time, as opposed to like like actually settle down or commit to somebody like long term.
Mhm.
It's like I don't know. I have my own thoughts on it, but
I
yeah.
think the younger would, but I think the younger is looking for to have a Beyonce life or a Cardi B life if they do it, or Nicki Minaj life. Like they would definitely be willing to settle down if that person could make them look like an Instagram, desired couple, couples goal. They definitely would, and I think that that's just where the maturity has to come back. You have to find your own happiness and your own piece to your puzzle, and it's not the same that everyone has. You know, our puzzles are not the same. So, of course, when I pick someone, it's going to be perfect for me and not perfect for the overall look that I want to give to everyone else.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. Absolutely agree. Um, so my next question is what was my next question is where would okay so yeah sorry I keep repeating myself, but
You
so
okay?
my next question will be like since it is very since nowadays it's very hard, especially now with COVID-19 and all that stuff. It's getting harder for people to meet each other like in person. I feel like, I mean, it was already tough before COVID, and now because of COVID it's like even more obstacles and stuff like that. But like sort of so taking that into consideration, like where would you recommend what would you recommend, like, I guess it could be Asian guys since we're talking about Asian guys, or like any guy, but yeah, especially Asian guys. Where would you recommend them like meeting women in person as opposed to like, through like some dating app or whatever?
Asian guys meeting women in person. Um, I don't know. You know what? Hang out where the type of woman that you want would be. So hypothetically, myself, I'm a tough cookie to kind of catch. I'm all over the place. I'm like, where's Waldo? But like, it's some things that you'll know about me. I'll always get my nails done. I'm in the salon all the time. Uh, so I mean, I like to eat and have drinks. So pick places that the type of woman that you want would be. So like you sometimes you can find me at like a wine tastings or like wineries. You can find me at anything that has good food. Swear, anything that has good food. Um, but like if the woman that you are interested in, if you see maybe I guess I mean I don't know. I guess social media is more about look at what they're posting and where they're at. If she likes this type of stuff all the time, or the type of women that you like are always going to these places, I would say go. I would never say go to a club. Not never. Like that's not no one that you're gonna find if you want an actual relationship. If you want to just have a hookup, go to a club. Fine. But you know, we're like all around. I mean, I've I met this guy I used to talk to, and we literally met at the gym, and that's how that started. Now, mind you, I don't know about everyone else. Everyone's on this little health kick. I work out begrudgingly just to keep my shape. I complain throughout the workout, so I'm not happily there. But some women, if you're into working out, you want your partner to work out. I would say go to a gym. Go to like a mainstream gym that's popular. Go to a gym that maybe has like I think it's like hip hop cycling or something, and it's like or hip hop aerobics. And they dance to like all these hip hop songs and stuff. You'll see like a lot of them in there. Um, go to like carnivals or festivals that celebrate Black culture. Um, go to like professors when they speak, especially like if you want a younger, go to the conference and go to like professors when they speak and stuff. I mean, only if you want a smart one. If you want one that's not that smart, I don't know where you're gonna find. Um, we're like all around. Just to be honest, like I mean, you can't go. Like I went tonight and I had hot pot tonight, right? Chinese restaurant, and literally at first I started out being the only black one there. Then I was like some friends brought some other friends, and it'd been like 4 or 5 of us just like sitting there. Of course, we're not together, but spaced out, you know, eating among a bunch of Chinese people, young and old, and everything else. We're around, and I think that our culture is probably the most unafraid to just walk into something, and they're like, "Oh, Chinese people going around, I'm going in there, so what?" And we'll completely go in there. So we're everywhere. I would say, unfortunately, it seems the world is more of a social media type of thing, an internet thing. And I'm not really big on social media or internet like stuff. Like I literally, if I post on anything, like literally the page I have, my twin made it for me to be in his group. And then I started being bored and I would look at it. And then I started posting stuff that I thought was funny. And I never read anyone's comments. I'm like, I don't know if you think it's funny. I thought it was funny. Totally unattractive. But um, sometimes that's the best way. God forbid, don't turn into these like TikTok people where I see your chest jumping in slow motion uh, throughout every post. Because in one of the groups, some of these girls, that's all I see is one guy doing a pelvic thrust and another one making his boobs jump. And I'm like, well, I can make my boobs jump and thrust my pelvic. It's not a big accomplishment. I'm not even like impressed. Like, let's keep it going. So just, I mean, unfortunately, like I said, this is the social media world. I'm such an in-person type of person. Is that I would just say, go where the type of woman that you're looking for would possibly be, or if she's on social media and you're watching her and you're scared to say something, look and see if she says, oh, I love going to Sundays, to the park or whatever, try. That's almost stalker like. But I mean, just try it. I mean, if you're not scared to message her or something, but it's not really probably the best places you meet anyone is probably like the festivals. Um, if there's anything, if you're actually looking for like someone black, like this is gonna sound so funny when I say it, but like if you were looking for someone black when Black Panther came out, the theaters was full of them. Like everyone was around. You have to pick those type of things, when you have West Indie Festival, you see a lot of me type people at the festival, in our carnival outfits and stuff like that. And we're fun, we're approachable, we're drinking, hanging out. Just, I mean, I don't know. There's not really like a particular place. Whether you see on social media and shoot her a message, just God forbid, don't leave with dick pictures, which people seem to tend to do nowadays. But just send her a message, and give her a compliment, let her know what you're interested in, and just leave it at that. If she doesn't respond, it's okay. Move on to the next. It's millions and billions of people around the world. And it's gonna be at least 1,000 that find you attractive. It's gonna be at least 10 that's gonna be hit in, and it's gonna be one that's gonna be perfect for that moment. Because sometimes you have more than one that's perfect in a lifetime. But it's not really like a particular place. Like, I mean, now I see a lot of them like are going to anime, uh, Japanime and anime cons and stuff like that, and Comic Cons and stuff now, which you can see them there if you're like into that type of thing. They have gaming stuff, and some of them are getting into gaming now. You'll see them there. Um, but I think just walk up to someone. That's what I do. I challenge everyone watching this to either message someone that you've been liking, or to just walk up to someone that you see that you think is attractive. And God forbid, women that are watching, even if he just walks up and he doesn't want more, learn how to just take a compliment. Everyone that speaks to you or gives you a compliment does not fetishize or desire you in a negative manner. Let's wipe that out too. But I don't know. Go to the grocery store.
Okay. That's cool. So what was I gonna say? So I think I have one last question here,
Of course.
and that is, what are some things that guys should not ever say to women?
I'm drawing a blank, but I've had so many that were said, and I'm just like, but then again, I'm not sensitive. I kind of found this like humor in it. I had one guy, he bought me, this is even funnier because he bought me a gift, and it was a bracelet, right? And so I was like, oh, this is really beautiful. He said, yeah, I was kind of torn on which one to get, but then I remembered that you blacks like the bling. And everything in me was like, wait, what? And then I just laughed because it was like, I didn't think that he meant it offensively. But I was like, you blacks, like, wait, what? I was like, wait a minute, you just ruined this gift by saying that. But I just started laughing because I was just like kind of taken back, like, you blacks, wait, what? um, I'd probably say a lot of people, they always say, your culture, your culture. I think that can be taken offensive because I don't like when we have an understanding. Like, say me and you have an understanding. You say, well, it's just because of different cultures. No, sometimes same culture has the same thing. It's just that person. You know, it may be the same thing, just in different form, but that person feels this type of way. But everyone wants to say, oh, it's because of your culture, because the culture. I think it's a cop out when you say that. I'm like, no, it's a cop out. Like, it's not a culture. It's learn me and what I like or don't like, or what offends me or don't offend me. Um, never, oh my God, never get into a conversation about, I think, political situations, as far as like, like Black Lives Matter, Asian Lives Matter, that, oh my God. Don't avoid that, because it's two different plights, and the one is not more important than the other. But when you talk to someone of that culture, it's like, if you tell me that your kid was in a fight. I'm like, oh, that's crazy. Is he okay? You told me my kid was in the fight. I'm all different type of, you know what I mean? Like my response is on 1,000. So I think that that's how it kind of portrays because nonetheless, we're all almost fighting the same battle on a regular basis. Just some of us have been in the fight for a lot longer. And we we tend to forget that we're all fighting the same battle, and we end up when someone says something else, we take it as now they're against us, and that you're either you're minimizing my situation, or I think that my situation's worse or more important than yours. Really, everything that's happening in general with either one of those situations is horrible. But I think that's something that you definitely stay away from because I ended up in another group chat and I just watched this conversation like spiral and I was like, why are you guys like trying to fight over which of the which one's the lesser evil? Because they're both an evil. They're both something that should have never happened. Period. Um, so I think that that's probably something. Don't talk so. Although women love compliments, don't talk so sexual about body parts. I think because then that gives that person a thought that you're just fetishizing about them and their body, or that you're just that's all that you're about. And maybe she's not, maybe she actually wants a relationship and you do too, but now you've led with the wrong conversation and made it seem like that's all you're interested in is her bum, her breast, her hip, whatever the hell she got. So never lead with um conversation about the body. Like I think that this will probably cap all of it. Feel the room. Always know the room that you're in. So, like with me, we can laugh and joke about a lot of things, and I'm not going to get upset. You know, I'm just that type of person. But you have people that would be offended by the slightest little thing. And then you have people, that like it was for instance, it was another group, and it was posted, "What do you like about black women?" Oh my God, men were like, "Oh, their shape." Someone was like their bum. Someone was like their hair. Of course, these are all physical traits because what's the first thing that you see is your physical. So they're making a general comment on the things that they like. Of course, it's going to change when they get to know the woman. These fools literally got upset and they were like, women are more than just their body, black women are more than just their body and just me. I said, well, they didn't say that they weren't, but they don't know all black women and they don't know you. So they can't say anything specific. They're saying things general. You know, I said, and you turned a comment into something negative. So I think that in general is like a read the room moment, you know. If we're talking and I'm flirting and you're flirting, and yes, you could say little sexy things and stuff, and then wait though. Don't dive in. Say little sexual innuendos and see if I respond. If I respond, then we can keep going and we can go, whatever. But if you say something a little sexual and I kind of get mute, don't press the issue because I probably heard you. And I just don't want to talk like that. So I think just best that everything that as far as what to say and what not to say, everyone has their own feelings on what offends them and what doesn't offend them. But I think what's best is if you read the room really, really well, or like I say, read the room, but read that person, read the vibe, what you guys have. Then anything can be discussed. Because I got to a debate with someone. They said that you can't take back what you spit out. But I told them, I said, it doesn't matter what I say, it's the intent of what I say. So I don't know, maybe you can add to that. So if I tell you like the intent of, if I say, oh, shut up, you're stupid, you know me a little bit, that you know that I'm joking. That I don't mean that you're that. It's whatever the situation is. I think it's funny. versus taking it literal and you think I'm telling you to shut up and I think you're stupid and you being offended. You know, I told him, I said, no, no, it's the intent. If you know me and you know that I'm joking and I don't mean any of this, I think that you're smart because I've said you're smart on several occasions. I said, then why would you think that I me saying that you're stupid means in general? I'm saying that that comment or whatever, like that's stupid, you silly, that situation, not that you're that as a person. So that's when I say read the room, and it's not what people say, it's the intent behind it. You can say some of the most ugliest things, but people think that you're just angel and you're so nice. They're not going to take offense to it. They're gonna be like, oh, well, she didn't mean it that way. That's not how they mean it. And so that's why I say it's always the intent. So always read the room and what you say, think about the intent behind it. And also when you receive something, think of the character of that person that's saying it to you. You got some people that that are haters. No matter what you do, they got something negative to say or whatever. So if you show them something and say, "Oh, that's stupid," or "That's ugly," you're like, "Yeah, whatever," because I know that you always hating. So I know that your actual opinion I could take with a grain of salt. But if you know someone who's loving and compassionate, and they say, "I actually hate it," it's not really good. You know that they're doing it from a good place. Same words, but different people because they're different intents. So I think that just in general, borderline. There's not like, because I mean, I literally was in college once and I saw a bunch of Asian guys walking together and they threw out the N word like 37 times. And I was like, okay, did you just learn it today or what's up? And they're just like walking, but they're talking with each other. And they're like, N word this, N word that. And I'm like, okay, did you just learn that word? But it wasn't offensive to me because also I don't think that I'm an N-word. And if you know the definition of it, it means ignorance. It doesn't belong to any race or culture. It's been tagged onto Black people because of slavery, but the definition of the word just means ignorance. So it doesn't bother me. Just like if someone calls me a bitch, sometimes I tell people, I probably was acting that way. Maybe. But actually it means a female dog. So I mean, you choose what you want to be offended by and you choose what you're taught. So I personally, I'm not the type to be easily offended or easily pushed around, but I also say watch, always pay attention to the person that you're talking to and their heart and their intent and how they are, and then move and handle things that way. Always, of course, tread lightly with certain things until you guys have made sure that it's okay to say or do things, But I don't think that there's too many, particular things. Don't talk down upon anyone's ethnic stripes, the things that they've gone through, through their culture and stuff like that, because it means a lot to each person. Whether it was 400 years ago, 5 years, because I've heard people say, well, why don't you get over it? Like, why don't you get over it? So it's, it's just being, what, sum it up, treat people better than you want to be treated. And then you have no problem.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that. Um, I do agree with that. Um, but I just have a question. Are you? Because I don't want to like completely put all your business out there. Are you still where you were like a couple days ago? Or are you like in?
No. So those who don't know, because you do put my business out, I was in Colombia, and so I went for work, and I was trying to get all my little things in order so I can have a conversation with your lovely self. And unfortunately, things fell through. I'm back in the States now at one of my houses here, and then I'll be going back up north soon. Um, and that's my life. I'm like, where's Waldo? Legit. Where's Waldo?
Well,
So no, unfortunately, that's why I really wanted to do this when I was in Colombia, because the funny thing, and I didn't get to take a picture because I was so upset. When I got ready to do the first interview in my hotel in Colombia, they had a Japanese, no, she wasn't Japanese. Yes, Japanese. a Japanese painting behind me, and the additional like a kimono with the thing on the back. I can't remember what they're called on the back and everything. And she had like her hair up, almost like a geisha. It was so cute. I was like, this is so funny. We're in Colombia, we're in Cali, Colombia, and you have a bit of Asian culture here. So I was going to do my first interview sitting in front of that painting. And then, of course, like I said, that went to shoot. And then we had started having tropical storms, and it just was what it was, a mess.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, I'm gonna end the interview here. But yeah, I appreciate you for taking time to talk with us or talk with me. Um, I had more questions, but I had more questions, but it was, yeah, maybe for another time.
Of
Um,
course.
but yeah, no. Um, so I just had a question. Well, actually, I
Yeah.
did have another question, but it's not really related to the interview. Um, so I don't know if you'd be interested, but I'm trying to I'm trying to put together like it's sort of like a basically for the channel, like that show that everyone watches, so popular. It's called The Bachelorette or Bachelor
Oh
or whatever.
God.
So
Yeah.
I was trying to do something like that because I'm trying to get more Asian men involved in this channel. Um,
Hmm.
because I know that they do like black women. It's just for some reason they're not very vocal, and it goes back to them being it goes back to
Hmm.
them being really shy. So it's kind of like to you know draw them out more and get them more
Hmm.
involved in the channel because there's a lot of black women that are involved in the channel, but it's not like a ton of Asian guys. So I don't know if you are, looking for something, if you are single or not, but I just thought, since I have been, you actually brought it up at the beginning of the interview. You said that, I don't know if you're joking or not, but you said that like, they're by popular demand. You actually are. That's part of the reason why I want to do this interview with you, is because I had been getting a lot of requests to do another interview with you. A lot of them were
I was
from,
literally joking.
no, but a lot of
Did you
them.
hear that? Did you hear the second thing I said? I said, "Did someone whispers in my ear? No one asked for you." I'm
Oh no.
kidding.
No, but yeah, actually, a lot of those were from Asian guys. So,
Oh,
so I was gonna ask you, yeah, if you will be interested in participating. So it wouldn't be like in person. It would be like via like the internet or via live stream or whatever. Would you be interested in participating in something like that?
sure, that would be fun. Of course,
Okay.
anything to help anyone and have a good laugh and just have a great time. I'm always about having a great time,
Okay.
of course.
Cool. Yeah. Well, yeah. I don't know when that's gonna be, but we'll talk about it later. But yeah. So yeah, everybody, if you made it to the end of the video, thank you very much. Like this video. Comment, subscribe if you're not already, and share it. Um, and yeah. So thank you, Desmona. Yeah, I had a good time. Talking with you again.
Oh, of
Um,
course.
I'm sure there'll probably be more requests for more interviews later after I post a video. But yeah. So everybody, watching at home. So I'm gonna sign off now. But I think, yeah. I was gonna
Yeah,
say.
tell them to ask you to ask me anything. I'll be asked the Caribbean gal.
Hmm, okay. Well, absolutely. Yeah. So guys, if you like this video, like I said, like, comment, subscribe, all that stuff. But yeah. So thank you, Desmona, and thank you everybody watching. So we'll see all of you guys on the next video, and yeah, peace out. Bye. Thank
All
you.
right. Ciao.